Sometimes school is supposed to be a safe place where the worst thing you have to worry about is a pop quiz or maybe an awkward moment in the cafeteria, but every now and then, something far darker and much more chilling happens, leaving students and teachers haunted for years. Here are 3 terrifying stories of school lockdowns that turned into waking nightmares. Listen carefully and see if you can last until the end. It was a regular Tuesday in 9th grade biology, the rain tapping against the windows, making the classroom feel dim and cold. Our teacher was in the middle of a lecture when the principal's voice crackled over the intercom. "Teachers, we are in lockdown." I repeat, lockdown. Everyone went silent, exchanging glances, expecting it to be another drill. But as we quietly moved to the corner of the classroom, I noticed our teacher's hands were shaking. She locked the door and lowered the blinds, whispering to herself. That's when I felt it. This wasn't a drill. Something was wrong. Minutes passed, but each one felt like an hour. Suddenly, we heard footsteps in the hallway, slow and dragging, the kind of footsteps that sound heavy, deliberate. They would stop every few paces, and each time, it felt as though they were getting closer. Our teacher motioned for us to stay absolutely silent, but then, the footsteps stopped, right outside our door. My heart was racing so loud I thought whoever was outside might hear it. There was a long, eerie pause, and then a scratching sound, faint at first, but growing louder. It was a slow, deliberate scratch, like nails scraping across the door, testing it. The sound sent chills down my spine, and I could feel the terror in the room. No one dared to move. My friend next to me started to cry softly, and I squeezed her hand, trying to stay calm. The scratching stopped, but then the door handle jiggled as if someone was trying to get in. Just as we thought we couldn't take it any longer, there was silence. The footsteps retreated down the hallway, slowly fading away until they disappeared. When the lockdown was lifted, we expected the police or at least an explanation, but there was nothing. The teachers wouldn't say a word, only that everything was fine and we should go back to class. But later, I overheard 2 teachers whispering, their voices low. "There's no one on the footage outside room 304, one said, his face pale. The other teacher just nodded, her voice trembling. Then, who or what was scratching at the door? Our school was ancient, built decades ago with a dark, winding basement that most students only knew through rumors. The doors to it were usually locked, and everyone whispered that the basement was haunted. Stories floated around about strange noises and flickering lights, but we all shrugged it off, until that day in my junior year. We were in history class when the lockdown alarm blared, sending chills down my spine. A voice over the intercom instructed us to go into the basement for safety. The teachers herded us down the narrow, damp stairway, into a series of cold, windowless rooms. It smelled musty, with the air thick and stale. Even the teachers seemed uneasy. We were packed tightly together, trying to stay calm when suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. My heart started pounding as complete darkness filled the room. Then, somewhere behind me, I heard it. A whisper, soft at first, like a faint breeze brushing past but unmistakable. "Get out," it hissed. I glanced around, trying to see who might be talking, but everyone was frozen in place. Then, someone screamed. We all turned, but no one knew where it had come from. My friend gripped my arm, her nails digging into my skin as we looked around frantically. That's when we heard footsteps echoing from the end of the hall. Heavy, shuffling footsteps, like someone dragging their feet. They were slow, and each step felt like it was getting closer, echoing in the darkness. The teachers tried to calm us down, but they were visibly scared, whispering to each other. After what felt like forever, the footsteps stopped and the lockdown ended. We were escorted back upstairs, everyone quiet and shaken. Days later, I overheard the janitor talking about the basement. He said there was a storage room down there, one that had been sealed off years ago. When he went to check it, he found strange scratches on the walls inside, as though something or someone had been trying to claw its way out. Senior year. We were halfway through a bright, sunny day when the lockdown alarm sounded. I remember looking out the window and thinking how strange it was to be in lockdown on such a peaceful afternoon. Our teacher told us to hide under our desks, and at first we thought it was a mistake. But then, from the hallway, we heard a blood-curdling scream. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard. Pure terror. I couldn't see what was happening, but I felt a heavy, cold feeling settle over the room. I tried to focus on breathing, but all I could think about was that scream. Then we heard footsteps outside, fast, like someone running. They came closer until, suddenly, they stopped right in front of our classroom. I could see a shadow under the door. Whatever was out there, it was standing completely still. I barely dared to breathe as it tapped on the glass, slowly, methodically. When I finally looked up, I saw it. A figure outside the window, dressed in black with hollow, empty eyes and a twisted grin that looked like it was carved into its face. It pressed its face against the glass, staring in at us, moving its head from side to side, as if studying each of us. Then, just as suddenly, it was gone. I couldn't shake the feeling that it had somehow seen us, and it wanted in. When the lockdown ended, everyone was too shaken to speak. Later that day, I overheard a teacher talking about a former staff member, a teacher who had disappeared years ago right outside our school. Some say her spirit haunts the halls, looking for something, or someone. But I know what I saw, and whatever that thing was, it was no guardian spirit. It wanted something darker. School should be a safe place, but sometimes, it's where the worst nightmares come to life. If you're drawn to these haunting tales, if you're curious to hear more true stories of lockdown horrors, click the video on your screen now. 3 disturbing true lockdown horror stories awaits you, if you dare.